porque esto es África. Samina, mina, waka, waka, samina, mina, sakalegua, anawa, samina, mina, waka, waka, samina, mina, sakalegua, porque esto es África.
I'm well on my journey, biggie, biggie mama, 1 A to Z. Party so on my journey, biggie, biggie mama, from east to west. Party, waka, waka, my waka, waka, my Send this in some Zimbabwe, yeah. 'Cause this is Africa.
Samina, mina, anawa, samina, mina.
They're gonna see.
Samina, mina.
Hello. Hello.
Samina, mina, waka, waka, samina,
How
mina,
are you?
sakalegua, anawa, samina, mina, waka, waka, samina, mina, sakalegua, porque
How
esto
is
es
the work
África.
of DA going?
DA is going on fine. The work of DA is going fine. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for joining, always supporting. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Cool. How is everyone doing? Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are joining from. Again, let's just quickly do some checks before we start. Right now we have 18 people on the call, and it's growing by the second. So if you can just tell me where you're joining from on the chat box, that will be very good. That's good morning from my side. Yeah, from Melbourne here. From Melbourne, Australia. Go Lagos, Nigeria, Sweden. Oh, that was great. USA. Wow. Nigeria, Bonny Island, Senegal. Wow. Dubai. We have a very, very wild audience. Lagos, Nigerian. Even Bahrain. This is interesting. South Africa. Wow. Thank you, guys. This is quite very interesting. And of course, we've got Australia, Zambia. I love Zambia. Wow, South Africa, Melbourne, Australia here. Good, thank you everyone for joining. We're just gonna start in the next 2 minutes. Just pop yourself on mute as you're joining. That will be much appreciated. Shegun from Lagos, of course. Cameroon, Madu. All right, so if you're just joining, please let us know where you're joining from. That is really going to be cool for us so that we can know where we are and where you are at the moment. Nigeria to missing from Ife, that's homeland. Thank you for joining. All right, this is yet another session about that's the Disciplined Agile Meetup, the Africa Disciplined Agile Meetup. This is the only Disciplined Agile Meetup in Africa at the moment. And here we talk so much about anything Disciplined Agile. So today we have yet another interesting session for us. We will not keep you here for too long as our usual, but we make it practical, and of course, new ideas will be shared. I've got a cool, okay, Steven, welcome. Deji, we'll call you Deji, which is quite cool. Deji Shola, which is quite cool. And I can see that Carol just joined as well. That is great. So if you can just pop on the chat box where you're calling from or where you're joining from, that would be nice. Shegun, are you online? If you can pop your video on, that would be good as well. Guess we'll be doing this together today. All right, cool. So, Carol, yeah, from Lagos, Nigeria, I know that. Thank you, thanks for joining. Okay, so today we'll be looking at Disciplined Agile overview. As usual, we definitely start with why. Why are we here? Shegun, if you are there, would you like to do the honors?
Yes, I'm here. I'm trying to bring up my video. Let's see if the camera can come up.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
Good job.
So,
Yeah,
go.
over to you.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah. Thank you.
before we go ahead, yeah. So like I said in the previous session, this is a community, and everyone in this community, at one point or the other, can support what we are doing just to make sure that the community is really growing and also sharing great insights. So today, Shegun is just joining us. It's been very consistent over the last 5, 6 sessions that we had, just to really co-host these with me. I am going to be presenting today, and so it's just going to be co-hosting with me. So over to you, Shegun.
All right. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, everyone. Good day. Good day to. I'm very glad to have you around. So, like the objective of today's meetup is stated below. So there's this good book by Simon Sinek that says starts with why. So it's a very powerful book. So the first objective of this meetup today is that this is a group of this is a group passionate to promoting the real value of lean and agile practices based on freedom that Disciplined Agile promises. So Disciplined Agile is based on lean and agile practices. So that is the first objective. The second one is that individual and organization in Africa with an interest in developing their agile and lean practices are welcome to attend. So this is for group of people that are interested, organizations that want to embrace agile, that want to, go, in the way of agility. It's a common and popular slogan these days, agile, scrum, and the rest. So if you are passionate about that, please come join us. So we'll continue to build knowledge and transfer in knowledge transfer in Scrum, Lean, Kanban, Save, Lean Startup, Lean Agile practices, everything that can make your company, organization to become agile, So that is what we are going to be discussing here. And the last one has to do with, for Disciplined Agile, we have what we call a toolkit. So that toolkit will help you to make your decision. We have a series of people that have done research, that have do a lot of good things. So you'll be able to pick from those stuffs, right away. So let me see if I can have the second slide. So, and luckily for us, this meetup is brought to you by Pete Loring Consulting, and the company is authorized training partner from PMI. That means if you want any training that has to do with Agile, be it Disciplined Agile, Scrum Master, Disciplined Agile, Scrum Master, whatever has to do with Disciplined Agile, Pete Loring Consulting is authorized to train you. So, and you can contact the website there. So that's it. So now today's event will be the title is African Disciplined Meetup, and the person that is going to be anchoring this is Pete Omotosho. So, and I want to give you a briefish the profile of Pete. So he has been an agile coach, trainer, and certification consultant for a long time, more than 20 years experience in energy, telecommunication, information technology, financial services, and he is passionate about mentoring, coaching, and working with new and existing agile teams, growing teams to maturity and liaising with non-agile domains within enterprise, and in order to embrace agile processes. Pete is the founder of Pete Loring Consulting, an organization committed to solving business problems and imparting knowledge, enabling customers to thrive through innovative advisory solutions. He's passionate about developing the agile practices in Africa, and is actively working towards achieving this goal. Pete is a vibrant member of agile community both in Australia and Africa at large. Pete, is the one that pushed me into Disciplined Agile. So he has pushed a lot of us into it, and we are enjoying him, almost free anyway. So thank you very much for that, opportunity. This is going to be a very interactive one. Let's get started.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for doing this, Shagun. I know I contacted you last minute and you said yes. Thank you for this. All right, let's go straight into it. Today we'll be talking a little bit about the overview of Disciplined Agile. No matter what your level of journey is, let's just go through this, and then at the end of the day, we should be able to really do justice to that. I won't talk about this because Shagun has actually done a good job. But in order for you to really appreciate the fact that I've got some quite good experience to share this with you, this is some of the Disciplined Agile certification or even PMS certifications that I have. The highest of them, which is the DAVSC, is a highest certification of the Disciplined Agile toolkit, which is the value stream consultant. So let's see how much we can actually cover before the end of the session today. So if you have any question around value streams, around Disciplined Agile in general, please talk to us. We would like to hear from you. All right, so the question is, what is Disciplined Agile? What is Disciplined Agile? It's a toolkit. We call it a toolkit of practices that enables you to make better decisions about how to adopt Agile, especially Agile at scale. We say it's agnostic. It's an hybrid tool, right? Which means when you open the toolbox, you'll be able to find practices of Lean, practices of Agile. There are other conventional or approaches that are put together under the big umbrella of Disciplined Agile. Now, why do we have all these approaches? It allows teams and organizations to choose their ways of working. We call it WOW, choose their ways of working. Now, which means Disciplined Agile is able to solve the problems that we find in organizations, especially problems about how we adopt Agile. It is not the problem of how we implement frameworks, because frameworks are unique and they are good for certain situations. So Disciplined Agile is a toolkit that solves the problem of how we adopt Agile. And this is done across organizations and really looking at the Agile practices, the Lean mindset. It puts all of these in clear view. So when we say Disciplined Agile is a toolkit, what do we mean? And I'll really break it down to you. Now, one of the favorite things I like to do when I was young was to follow my dad to the mechanic. If you're joining me from Nigeria, you will know what it looks like when you go to the mechanic. And the mechanic in those days, my dad's mechanic, is anytime we go there, it has this giant toolkit that he opens up. And then whatever the problem, maybe it's the battery, maybe it's the engine, maybe it's anything that the problem is, he opens that toolkit and then picks the tool that he will use to solve the problem. I could hear something. I can still remember hearing something like talking to his apprentice, give me spanner, 2 spanner, 7 spanner, give me the wrench, give me screwdriver. Now, there are so many of these tools, right? And he picks the right tool and work on the car. Now, sometimes they make mistake. You say, give me 30 spanner. And then he tries and I say, oh, no. I don't want 30 spanner. I want 11. And then it changes it. That means we can always change as well, choosing the toolkit that we need. But what we want to say is, if you need to pivot, if you want to change, you change as soon as possible. So I told you that story to appreciate the fact that Disciplined Agile is that toolbox, that giant toolbox, where there are tools of lean, there are tools of theories of flow, theories of constraints. Anything about organizational development is in that tool. It provides straightforward guidance to enable us as organizations, as individuals, as teams, to make better decisions within the organization that we support. Of course, after you do that, you'll be able to choose your ways of working as an organization. So how does it work? So it works by showing how these various activities work together within the organization that we work with, like finance, solution delivery, vendor management, all of them put together. It gives them different toolkits or different tools within the toolbox to really be able to achieve their aim. So we talk about the big umbrella. Let's talk about the big umbrella of Agile. Under the big umbrella of Agile, there are so many frameworks, there are so many tools, so many approaches. What we are saying here is Disciplined Agile is aligned to the umbrella approach of Agile. It definitely goes ahead. It definitely goes ahead. Yes, of course, Steven will share the recording with you. No worries about that. So for many organizations, the option to choose the practices that they work with or they need or the strategies that they need out of the so many options that we have, also out of the so many trade-offs is available in the toolkit. So in other words, what we are saying is organizations have the freedom to choose their preferred method. Now the question is, how do we know the preferred method? How do we know what works? How do we know what will work? This is where Disciplined Agile consultants like myself, and I have a fellow consultant on the call today, Patrick, can help you or your organization choose what works. And this is what we are actually spreading the news about, that everyone on this call could actually look into the problem we're trying to solve in organizations, the opportunities that we want to harness, and begin to be able to propose a working ways of working, which it could be one of the frameworks, it could be one of the practices, or a combination of those practices. So now, when we now look at this, it leads to what we call the business agility. Business agility is how we do Agile across the enterprise, especially big organization. So if you work for a big organization, how do we do Agile across the board? We call it business agility. So we're going to really look briefly, we're going to look at the DA process blade chart. That's the Disciplined Agile process blade chart. Now, a blade chart, addresses specific organizational capabilities such as finance, such as procurement, such as agile solution delivery, whatever it is, all those high-level departments that you found. Everything can actually be summed up under this process blade chart. Let's start with the foundation. So the foundation captures the fundamental skills that are needed, the knowledge that is required for business agility. And it goes to the fundamental principles of Agile, the fundamental Agile knowledge, lean, right? Roles that are involved, the teams that we need. Of course, at the end of the day, the ways of working. Of course, on top of that, right on top of that layer, we do have the DevOps layer, the Disciplined Agile DevOps. Of course, if you know a little bit about DevOps, you know that we are trying to bridge the gap between development and operations. So this layer captures how to make solution delivery more effective within the organization that we work for, within the enterprise. And this is by really bridging the gap, like I said, between development and operations, by seamlessly helping with the interaction between development and operations. Of course, round about that is what we call the value stream. The value stream captures how to provide value to customers from the beginning to the end of your operations. So it kind of look at the non-value adding activities and try to remove them. The non-value adding things that we do within the organization, whether it is around governance, whether it is around sales, business operations. You just want to track, the journey from the beginning, from ideation to delivery, and begin to capture how to provide value from that perspective. And of course, lastly, we talk about the disciplined agile enterprise. This is everything that happened at the enterprise level. This captures the organizational process that are required to support value stream. This is where the major backbone of the organization, this is where they say, people management, when you talk about the HR lead or the HR manager, they sit there, the IT, which is the heart of the operations, sits there, the transformation office, probably for Agile or PMO, whatever it is, vendor management, the people that you work with. Of course, you want to do all your work without incurring legal battles, right? And so you do what? You need to definitely look at legal. Anything that you work at that level definitely goes there. Now, from the business agility side of things, I want to really focus on 4 essential views of disciplined agile in the short time that we have. What are the 4 essential views of disciplined agile? Let's start with DA mindset. That's number 1. Number 2, we talk about people. People talks about roles, responsibilities, and the team structure. Of course, we'll talk about practices as well. These are the goal diagrams, which I'm going to bring to you very shortly. And flow, that's talking about the 6 life cycles that we have within the toolkit of disciplined agile. Let's start from the beginning. Disciplined agile mindset, what does that mean? So you'll be introduced to the various aspects of the DA mindset in this slide. And of course, like I said, this is based on, just hold on, please. If you can pop yourself on mute, that will be appreciated. I can get some feedback here. Okay, cool. So these, like I was saying, there are 9 principles that underpin the way we work. And this talks about what we believe or why we do what we do. Those are the principles. Things like be awesome, choice is good. I've mentioned that a couple of times today. With the Disciplined Agile toolkit, you are able to make choices based on your context. And of course, because I said context, I can see context count. Now, there are several good practices, but what we are saying that the best practice in a situation may not be the best practice in another situation. And so these 9, principles really tells us why we do what we do. So one thing I wanted to do now as an attendee today is to definitely look at your organization. Which of these principles, which of these 9 principles would you like to take to your organization and apply to your context? Now, next to that is the promises. With the promises of Disciplined Agile, we promise each other that we work in a disciplined manner by following these 7 ways. Of course, they are quite good promises. For example, we want to create a psychologically safe environment for ourselves where you come to work without the fear of being being judged, or fear of not being able to say what you want to say, right? So psychological safety is there, very, very strong. And so many other ones: accelerate value realization, collaborate proactively. These are the promises we give to ourselves on how we will work together, Again, I want to look at these 7 promises. Which of the promises currently works in your organization or in your various teams that you work with? And of course, or which one would you like to make? Which one would you like to make to your project or to your teams? Of course, lastly, we do have the guidelines. We follow the collection of these guidelines to enable us to be effective, to make us effective, right? Check these guidelines as well. Which one would you like to follow to be more effective? Things like validate learnings as much as possible. Things like foster joy, create effective environments, and foster joy in your organization or in your teams. These are promises. Cool. That's talking about the DA mindset. Let's go back to the people side of things. In Disciplined Agile, there are roles that have been put together. These roles are very closely knitted to what we have in Scrum teams, but with a little bit of difference. So if you have a background of Scrum, this will make a lot of sense to you. Of course, it's an extension of Scrum. So when you look at the screen, we've got 4 major roles within the first inner circle, and those are the primary roles plus the stakeholder. So technically, when we look at the team lead, let's look at the very first one. Who is the team lead? This is your typical Scrum Master role. It's your typical Scrum Master role in a Scrum team. This is someone that we can call the servant leader. This is someone that is really creating and maintaining the conditions that will allow the team to be successful. We look at him or her as the team coach that helps the team to focus on what matters. As a matter of fact, he or she acts as a true leader. It facilitates communication, empowers the team to self-organize themselves, and of course, go all out to remove impediments that are coming in the way of progress. The product owner is one person. This person is the voice of the customer. The product owner represents the needs of the stakeholders and, of course, represents the need and desires of the stakeholder community to the Agile team. It knows so much about the vision, it knows so much about the product that we're delivering, and it goes all out to help the team deliver value. Cool. So we do have an additional role, which is not described in Scrum, and this is called architecture owner. We call this guy the voice of the organization. This person is a member of the team that makes solutions decision. Typically, this person would be a senior person. It doesn't mean that he is a manager or is a people leader within the team. No, he's just a member of the team. He's just like any other member of the team, but is expected to sign up for work that are technical in nature. Is also expected to sign up for work like every other team member. The only difference is that it has a very strong technical background and is able to also understand business initiatives, a business domain as well. Now, every other member of the team is a team member, which is the last role here. Every other member is a team is a team member. Anyone that is rolling their sleeves up to work is a team member. Now, outside the inner circle, we do have this role called a stakeholder. Of course, you know that anyone that is interested in your project, whether positively or negatively, is actually a stakeholder. Cool. So those are the primary roles in Disciplined Agile: the team lead, which is your typical Scrum Master, the product owner, the architecture owner, and of course the team member. Of course, we have Scrum Master as well that are needed. We have the stakeholders as well that are needed all around, whether they are positively influenced by your project or they are negatively. It doesn't really matter. There are other supporting roles which I'm not going to go into at the moment. It all depends on the domain you find yourself. It all depends on the area you work with. Some organizations or some teams can say, yes, I will need an independent tester in iteration 3 or sprint 3. Yeah, we need him there, do what he needs to do, and then go back to the team or go back to his domain. All right. I'm not really watching the chat box, but if you have any question, you can pop it there. At some point, I'm going to quickly look at that and definitely answer your questions. I can see a question around recording. Of course, that will be available, and then we can share the link at some point. You will receive an email maybe tomorrow or anytime soon about your attendance and the link to the recording. Now let's talk about flow. After knowing the people that are required in the DA team, in the Disciplined Agile team, what is flow? Flow talks about the choice that we have to choose a life cycle that works for us. Remember in the earlier on, I said there are best practice, there are good practices, and there is no one size fit all practices. There is no one size fit all practices. All right, thank you, Patrick. That's good. It is a similar role and usually available to multiple teams within the orbit. Thank you for answering that for me. That's talking about the architecture owner role. Okay, so the Disciplined Agile delivery supports several full life cycle, right? Now, this is because the solution delivery teams face different situations in their life cycle, in their lifetime. And so, like I said, no one life cycle will fit all situations. This depends on the context that we find ourselves. And there are so many contexts all in our organizations. So we have 6 of them. We have the Agile delivery life cycle. We have the continuous delivery Agile life cycle. We do have the lean life cycle, the continuous delivery lean life cycle. We have exploratory, and then we do have the program life cycle. Of course, time will not permit us to go through all this life cycle today because it's just an introduction, it's just an overview. If we need to know more, of course, like Shegun mentioned earlier on, we have different trainings, 2-day trainings, 3-day trainings that actually can go deep into each of these life cycles. So due to time constraint, we're just going to look at one of them, which is the Agile life cycle. Now, with the Agile life cycle, what we are saying here is it's very similar to Scrum. In fact, it's an extension of Scrum. Now, before we can go into Scrum, of course, there should be some product management workload that will have been done, which will lead to the definition of what we want to do in terms of vision. Funding will have been made available somehow. Of course, the product management piece of work will have been done as well. Roadmaps, guidance, guidelines, all those things will have been delivered. Practically, at some point, we have work items that we are ready to work with. Those are our features. Those are the user stories, whatever it is, work items. Let's call them work items. Now, what we want to do is the highest priority work items will be taken into our iteration backlog, which we call the sprint backlog within the Scrum base, within the Scrum team. Of course, it is expected that we have an iteration, whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. The most popular is 2 weeks. Every day we do the daily coordination meeting. The daily coordination meeting talks about the stand-up meeting that we have. Of course, that should be around 15 minutes. At some point in the future, we'll be able to wrap up our iteration, and that will lead to a demonstration, a demo to the stakeholders to say, oh, this is what we built with your money. Does it make sense? Is this what you are expecting? And then they will give feedback. And based on the feedback, they either continue to improve on it or they can create an increment and go forward. Which means sometimes in the future, they will have a ready, consumable solution to be deployed. That solution will be deployed and released into production. Once it is released, it gets to the hands of IT operations and support will continue. And then it goes on and goes on that way. Like I said, this is an extension of Scrum. This is an extension of Scrum, and this is one of the life cycle. So we just need to gauge which life cycle works best for you in your situation. Is it the Agile life cycle? Is it a continuous delivery Agile life cycle? Is it a Lean life cycle or continuous delivery Lean life cycle? Or better still, if it's a very, very new idea, we've never done it before, we might be looking at exploratory and of course, program life cycle. So that's that about life cycle. I can see some engagement in the chat, but thank you so much for taking time to answer those questions. That's Patrick and also Shegun. Really appreciate your support on that front. Let's go on. Keep the questions coming. If there's anything I need to really answer at some point, I will definitely answer them. Now, let's talk about the practices that we have under the Disciplined Agile delivery. So for the practice, we are going to briefly look at what we call the process goals. Now, the process goal is outcome-based. That's the very first thing you need to know. It is outcome-based. So let's say, in fact, let me just quickly take you through an example of a process goal that we call explore scope. We do have the DA browser, which is freely available to the public. And of course, you can access it. Patrick, if you please can just help me with the link to the DA browser and pop it on the chat, that would be good. It's freely available, which means everything that you need under the big umbrella of Disciplined Agile, we can actually use it and navigate ourselves to get what we need. So we're going to be looking at explore scope as a process goal. So let's just assume, this is just more like a case study here. Let's assume that you're part of a team and your team is having some difficulties identifying how people will use their solutions because they don't have access to actual end users. They don't even know what the end user looks like. They don't have access to them. Thank you, Shegun. Right. The team lead says, oh, guys, why don't we look up potential options in the Disciplined Agile toolkit and see what we could try? Of course, the team say, yeah, that's a good idea. That sounds like a good idea. What can we do? And so we say, well, let's look at the explore, scope, goal diagram. So with the explore, scope, goal diagram, the team discovers that there are so many options that we can choose from, and you can see on the screen, there are so many options. But out of the so many options, the team decided that we have exploring usage. The exploring usage option by the end users. Now, we are kind of used to user story writing. We are used to Epic. We're used to Persona, for example. We're used to all of these. Now, how do they do that? Number one, they can look at this book, Choose Your Wow. All of them is there. All of the options is in this book. Choose Your Wow. Again, like I said, it is also freely available in a DA browser. So you can pop the link that is in the chat now, which is the DA browser. You can actually use it to definitely choose your ways of working as well. Now, in that table, you'll be able to see a table with options and trade-offs. Something like this. This is what you've got. Now, what happens is the team says, what are we going to use? After they check the table, they decided to definitely look at personas. How do we use personas? They decide to go straight on to look at personas. Like I said, user story is a point, user story map, use cases, and different frameworks, different practices. Now, they found out that with personas, they have some ideas. Is a likely option for really addressing the problem that they have. And they decide to experiment with strategy. Is there any? Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. Now, here's a quick description of how to read the process goal diagram. Number one, we have the process goal name. Of course, we have one or more decision points, which is the next level to choose from. This will involve, having a process goal, right? And there are several options definitely to choose from. There are several options to choose from. Now, one thing I'd like to say before I move on is your options can either be ordered or unordered. If you look at this one, this is an ordered list because there is an arrow. The arrow that says acceptance criteria, you can try that first before you can try explicit list, before you can start to try technical stories. So that's an ordered list. Some of them are not ordered, which means anyone that works in your context can actually work for you. So that is how we use these this chart. This is how we use this chart. The link to the DA browser has been put on in the chat, so you can definitely look at that. And of course, I'll share it later on today. How are we doing with time? Let me even, okay, let's go on. Now, there's the link to the DA browser. Of course, that's in the chat already. You can check it out. Okay, so the next one is how do you start your journey? The Disciplined Agile Toolkit advises or encourages you to start where you are. What we're asking for is do the best that can give you the best in terms of anywhere you are. do the best in your situation, any situation that you face. And of course, always strive to become better. Strive to become better. Strive to become better. So let's say, for example, you don't have any experience, you are just beginning your journey. You might want to go the Disciplined Agile, you might want to go the PMI ACP, that's the PMI Agile Certified Practitioner way. In fact, that was my very, very first certification. Or if you want to go through the Disciplined Agile way, that's your DASM. Some of the content we're sharing today is part of the DASM. Of course, we're going to go into more detail because that is a 2-day course. It's not more like a 30-minute presentation that we're trying to do now. If you have a little bit of experience, you've gained experience, you can go straight to the Disciplined Agile Senior Scrum Master Training. Of course, your DASM, the Disciplined Agile Scrum Master, will give you some experience for this one. And of course, ACP is also going to give you experience to this level of the Disciplined Agile Senior Scrum Master. Now, if you want to be like me, you want to begin to lead transformations, agile transformations, you might want to take it further. In fact, DAVS is one of the most rigorous certifications because after you sit for your training, and you before you even attempt the exam, you have to spend 3 months in the COP, Committee of Practice, where you liaise with thought leaders, senior agile practitioners like yourself before you can even sit for the exams. So the fact that you finish the training does not really give you the access to the exam. You have to spend time there, learn more, practically share ideas, practically go through some case studies, and thereafter, after satisfying that, you can now attempt that exam. Of course, if you really want to be a coach, we have another track, which is the Disciplined Agile Coach, DAC. So this is just a snapshot of the Disciplined Agile Toolkit. And before we go on to the action plan, let me just see if I can just pop in the DA browser. So this is the DA browser. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see my screen, if you see my browser? Yes, good. Thank you. That's good. Now, if you look at these, there are so many ideas here. There's so many practices, and this is freely available anyways. It's freely available. Let's say you want to form your team. You want to form your team. This is telling us that we do have several options for you. To source your team, do you have an existing product team? This is the very first, this is an ordered list, like I said, which means what you want to look out for is a long-standing team in your organization. If you have a long-standing team, that is your first option. If you think, oh, okay, we don't have a long-standing team, then you can choose any one of these options. You can choose the existing team from another product, another team that has been put together. You just bring them and take the work to them. Or you can borrow a team member from another team and say, okay, we need this capability in our team, come to us. Or you can form a new team entirely. This is the ordered list. Existing product team, existing team from another product. You can borrow team members or you can form new teams. Whichever you use, it actually works for you based on your context. For example, let's say you have team members from different time zones, or you want to look at time zone distribution. How do you work? You want to say, oh, what do we have when we have the same time zone? What if we have multiple time zones, 5 or more hours overlap? How do we deal with it? multiple time zones, less than 5 hours overlap. What do we do? This information are available. Let's go to the beginning again. Source your team members. If I click on this, it's going to give me more information over here on source teams. And you can see information about every of the options that we have. This is divided into 2 sections. So if I want more information about source team members, I can see all the options. The first one is existing product team. What does it mean? The information is here. And what are the trade-offs? The trade-offs are here. And I can continue to read. And once I read this, I can go to my team and deploy what I've read. And that's how we use it. You can see that this is a very, very robust information catalog. Instead of using your idea, this is a starting point based on your context, Of course, maybe I want to explore scope, just like we did look at in the PowerPoint slide. Our explore scope is here, and I want to explore usage. There are different ways that we can explore usage. In our case, we choose persona. And you can see over here is there. So if I choose, I want to go the Epic way, definitely Epic will be highlighted and I can read more about Epic. But in our case, we chose persona. And so we're just going to say, oh, what is persona? A detailed description of fictional people who fill roles as stakeholders of the solution being developed. And I can read about the trade-offs as well. And so you can see there are so many things. You want to grow your team members and so on and so forth. So I just thought I should just show you so that you can appreciate the level of information that we do have in the Disciplined Agile browser. We call it the DA browser. And to think that this is freely available is actually out of this world. If you want to talk about DevOps, you want to talk about the enterprise, you don't want to talk about production readiness, quality, everything is there. So I'm just going to park this one for now and then go back to our delivery because our time is fast spent. Now, I won't leave you without an action plan. The action plan I want for you is, please read more about Disciplined Agile. Jump on PMI website, pmi.org/disciplined agile. There are quite a number of articles there. You can also earn a Disciplined Agile certification, of course, through Pete Lauren Consulting. We have several certifications for you. Disciplined Agile Scrum Master certification or Disciplined Agile Senior Scrum Master. You can also save up to 30%. If you're interested in that, please, you can send, interested to my WhatsApp. I'll put something together for us if that is what we want to do. Happy to do that. So, and of course, I might put something together and send it to the attendees later on. Now, I also want to say, if you want to catch up, I'm happy because one of the things that is very close to my heart is, creating a very good, a community for our African folks so that we can begin to build the agile competence. We can begin to build the agile competence. So if you want to discuss one-on-one, please, you can either book a time with me or send me an email. I am very, 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 very active on LinkedIn. So that's about something that is ready to do. Let's connect on LinkedIn as well. And then, of course, from there, we'll be able to connect further. I guess I'll leave this on the screen, or let me just go to the next one. My contact is there. My email is here. Of course, you can connect with me on LinkedIn or probably book a time on my calendar. Now, what I want to ask is if there is any question that has not been answered. I know Patrick and Shagun has been doing a lot of work answering those questions that came up during the chat. is there something that I still need to answer? Any question? You can either unmute yourself, ask your question, or still pop it in the chat box. Yeah, let me see if I can bring up the chat box here. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. All right. Okay, cool. Thank you. I can say thanks. Let me just check with you. Is there any question that needs to be answered? Patrick and Shegon, I know you've been doing quite a number of things behind the scene.
It looks like we got most of it.
All right.
As long as keep your contact info there. If people need more information or more help, they can reach out to you. And I mean, we get together all the time, so
Sure.
we can always share whatever opportunities exist out there, especially for some free training and seminars for them as well.
Definitely. So definitely that's my email address. You might want to pop that down and send me an email. Okay, yeah, we need more webinar with PMI Africa. Definitely, there is one think tank that we do at the moment. I'm a member of the African think tank, Agile think tank. We do that. Of course, we've been doing quite a number of seminars as well. So please avail your, and every month we show up here with regularity. Every month we show up here. All right, please can you talk a little more on PMO? I will be having an interview for that position this weekend. Amos, if you want to book your time with me, I'm happy to spend time with you to understand your context. Again, remember, context matters. Context matters. So project management office, we can talk about that. How do you get information for these webinars? All right. So the easiest way is to connect with me on LinkedIn. Everything that we work on, I always post on LinkedIn. And of course, by registering for these, you also receive emails about upcoming events. Definitely, just keep an eye on that. And of course, you can connect with Patrick, with Shegun as well. They are also very active on LinkedIn as well. Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you, Etem. I will do that. Definitely. Please share with us. Okay. Yes, you're interested. Like I said, please send a message, and I can arrange something. If you send a WhatsApp message to this number, +61 424 008 451, that will come to me, and then we will be able to do that. All right, so I guess this is a convenient place to stop. We're just 1 minute to the hour. We don't want to keep you any longer, but I believe that, as usual, you've already gotten something from this webinar today. I believe so. If that's the case, we look forward to
another quick easy way to help some of you all out. On LinkedIn, there's a group, the Disciplined Agile group. It's free to join that. And once you join that, you get access to a lot of links for a lot of free webinars from other thought leaders and senior agilists in this field. So take advantage of that free group on LinkedIn, the Disciplined Agile group.
Yep. I agree with you. Thank you for bringing that. So there are a lot of freebies that are happening. The only thing is we need to connect with these groups. We are very vibrant members of most of this group, and then they support us, and then we support each other as well. So feel free to do that. I believe you found this informative. It's just an overview. It can go deeper, but with what we have today, I just want you to take some of these action points and take it to your organization and try to see the options that are available for you and do justice to it. Cool. I believe we can round up today, except there is any other question, last minute question. Okay, cool. All right, so next month we'll be having another guest that is going to be giving us good updates on the inner world of Agile. Until then, have a very wonderful rest of the day in Nigeria. This evening here in Australia, we're just starting a day, and of course, some other parts of the world. Have a good one and see you later on. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.